Welcome students to our Rosary online teaching. My name is Rupali Gaikwad and I am going to continue with the chapter that is 9th ICSE lesson number 2, History Vedic Period. In last period we have learnt about the Vedic period, two types of the Vedic period. It was the early Vedic period and the later Vedic period. Again in that we have learnt about the Vedics, about the Vedas, about the epics we have learned. Also in archaeological sources we have learnt about the pottery and the iron. Now we will continue the chapter. Now here we have in Vedic period we are going to learn about the position of women. In position of women, women were treated equally with the men. So again there is a two part. If you see on the slide, there is a two part, that is a woman early Vedic period and the later Vedic period. In early Vedic period, women were treated equal with the men. There was no discrimination between the men and women. They were treated equally. In later Vedic period, the status of women reduced. So here discrimination started in later Vedic period. In earlier Vedic period, there was no discrimination. They were treated equally. But in later Vedic period, there was a discrimination. So slowly, the woman's status was reduced. Second point, they took part in all social and religious functions and gatherings. They could offer sacrifices with husbands. So there was no foundation that they should not go here and there. They can take part with this in the social and religious functions and also the gatherings. They can also take part while for sacrificing to offer the sacrifices with their husbands. While in later Vedic period, they took part in all social and religious functions and gatherings. So they were allowed to take part, but offering the sacrifices was not allowed there. But in early Vedic period, offering of sacrifices was allowed. Then next, they were given education. So in early Vedic period, education was given to the women. While in later Vedic period, few women, not all, few women received the education. Then next, they had freedom to choose their husbands. Here, there was no choice of choosing the husband. Monogamy was usually practiced, however, polygamy was also seen. Now, monogamy means one marriage. So, the people can have one marriage. There is a monogamy, and polygamy means they can have multiple marriages. So, in early Vedic period, it was monogamy was there. Only one marriage was allowed, but sometimes, however, multiple marriages were also seen. While in later Vedic period, here it was polygamy was more common, especially in higher sections of the society. So again the society we have different parts. We have a higher society, lower class society. In that higher society, polygamy, the multiple marriages were practiced, and we can see multiple marriages in the higher society. Then widows were allowed to remarry. In early Vedic period, widows were allowed to remarry. While in later Vedic period, widows were not allowed to remarry. So here remarry, the widows remarry was allowed, while there widows remarry was not allowed. Next, child marriage, sati, purda didn't exist. While here child marriage, sati and parda existed. Women scholars existed to compose hymns and knew all sacred scriptures. So here women scholars were existed as they were taken part in the education. They were educated, they were given the chance to go for the social gatherings and also to offer the sacrifices. So as they were taking a part, the scholar women existed into composing. They started writing the hymns and writing the songs and also the sacred scriptures. Next slide will go through it. Next is in Vedic society, Vedic period, we have four types of class society. So the four classes, if you see here, there's a pyramid. The first one at the top level is the Brahmins. They are the priest level. So all the priests, high priests, they are the Brahmins, they are the topmost level. Second level are the Kshatriyas. They are the warriors who take part in the wars, the Kshatriyas, they are the second level. Third one is the Vaishyas, that are the business people. The people who are doing the business like herders, farmers, merchants and craftsmen are the third level. Fourth is the Shudras. The Shudras, they serve the upper class people. So Shudras were at the bottommost level, at the down part, and they were serving the upper class. They were serving the Brahmins, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas. and they were the workers or the servants or the laborers. We will just go through it in detail. Fourfold Varna caste system, early Vedic period and later Vedic period. Again, there was a difference in that. Early Vedic society was divided into 4 Varnas, that is 4 in 4 parts. First one, Brahmins, who explain Vedic text and perform religious ceremonies. Second one, Kshatriyas, they were the warriors, nobles and ruling class. So Brahmins, again as I told you in the earlier slide, Brahmins at the topmost level, the priest level, Kshatriyas were the warriors. Third one, Vaishyas, common people engaged in trade, agriculture and industry. So Vaishyas, they were engaged themselves in the business. So they were the businessmen. Fourth, Shudras, servants and laborers. They didn't know any property land. So they were not owing their own land. They were not having their own property, the land property, but they were serving as the servants or the laborers to the first 3 people. Society had mobility. Food cooked by the Shudras wasn't banned. There were no restrictions on intermarriages or the change of occupation. Now for example in Vaishyas, if they want to change the occupation from one occupation to another occupation, there was no restriction that you should not do it. And one more very important part over here, the Shudras, if they cook the food, the cooked food was not banned by the another society people. They were accepting it. That is the main part over here. So there was no restrictions of intermarriage or of changing the jobs or changing the occupation. That was the main thing. Secondly, now in the later Vedic period, later society was also divided into 4 Varnas, similar to early Vedic age. Same thing is repeated, but here some changes are there a little bit. We'll just go through it. Culture of sacrifice increased to Brahmins, enjoyed powers and privilege that of Kshatriyas. Now here, sacrifice and all the religious functions were performed by the Brahmins. The Brahmins enjoyed the powers and privilege that of Kshatriyas. These privileges and powers weren't enjoyed by Vaishyas and Shudras. So the first 2 levels, the Brahmins and Kshatriyas, they enjoyed the powers and they took part in each and everything, while Vaishyas and Shudras were not allowed to take part in that. Then new Varnas like chariot makers, tanners, carpenters, smiths, fishermen came into existence. So more occupation came into existence later on. Membership of Varna became hereditary. So membership was compulsorily done. Earlier here the membership was not there in early Vedic period, while in later Vedic period the membership was compulsory. Now life of Shudras, that is a very important part, because in here society was giving the existence for the Shudras. They were not banned, they were able to take part, but while in later Vedic period, life of Shudras was miserable. So you must have heard also about the Shudras life, the untouchability that came into the later Vedic period. During later Vedic period, they were called as untouchables, weren't allowed to learn sacred texts, perform sacrifices and were forced to stay outside the village. So here in the second part, in the later Vedic period, the life of Shudras was very much miserable. They were told to stay away from the society, from outside of the village. They were called as the untouchables. They were not allowed to take part in any rituals or any religious things. They were not allowed to read the religious texts. They were treated very badly, very miserably. Now we are going to see about the 4 ashrams. Now here in early Vedic period there was no such concept, but in later Vedic period we had the concept of 4 ashrams. We'll just go through it. 4 ashrams means 4 stages of life. As per the ages, the stages were distributed. So we'll just go through it. Man's life was divided into 4 stages of 25 years each. So normally they have calculated as 100 years. Of 100 years they have divided into 25 years, remaining 25 years, 25, 25. That is a bracket of 1 to 25, 25 to 50, then 51 to 75 and 76 to 100. So in that particular bracket they have done it. We'll just go through it. First stage came under 1 to 25 years. That is Brahmacharya and Ashrama. Devoted for the education for the development of body and mind. So for the education, for the age limit 1 to 25, if you see even now our education, if you see the age limit is still 25, or they are learning more also, but normally the schooling, the college part is still 1 to 25. So here also in the age of 1 to 25 years, the students were sent for learning, for education, for the body and mind. They are called as a Brahmacharya ashram. So that ashram was related to the Brahmacharya, where the age limit of 1 to 25 years were residing over there and learning. Second stage is 25 to 50 years. Grihastha ashram. When he gets married and leads a family life. So after 25 years, he can get married and he can go to a family life. That is called as a Grihastha ashram. So Grihastha means going, developing a family life, leading to a family life. Third stage, 50 to 75 years, that is Vanaprastha ashram. They used to spend time, 50 to 75 age limit, that particular people, they used to spend time in meditation and in prayers. Till 50, they were into a family life, but after 50, they spent their time in meditation and prayers. Next, fourth stage is 75 to 100 years, that is Sannyasa ashram. Renounces worldly pleasures and lives in forest as sannyasi. So after 75 years, they used to leave the worldly, they used to forsake the worldly pleasures, they used to sit and they used to live in the forest as a sannyasi. Next we are going to see about the Gurukul, about the education system in the Vedic period. In early Vedic period, Gurukul system of education existed during the early Vedic period. It was at the basic level. Pupils lived in Gurukul. So there was a Gurukul like a hostels, we can say it as a Gurukuls. Nowadays we say it as a hostels or a boardings, but it was called as a Gurukuls where the students, they used to stay over there, they used to learn over there. In the early Vedic period, it was to a basic level, not to the upgraded one, but to a basic level. Then in later Vedic age, Gurukul system of education had become well established during later Vedic period. Pupils stayed with Guru for mental, physical and spiritual development. Next, they learned Vedic literature, mathematics, law, astronomy, astrology, logic and ethics. In early Vedic period, it was a basic level. But in later Vedic period, they started learning more about the Vedic literature, mathematics, law, astronomy, astrology, logic and ethics. Now here, no fees were charged, but pupils voluntarily paid contribution known as Guru Dakshina. So fees were not charged to them that this much fees has to be paid, but the student can pay as a Guru Dakshina, whatever he willed. He was having a will that I want to pay this one, I want to give a Guru Dakshina, he used to give accordingly. So here, no fees were charged, but pupils voluntarily paid contribution known as Guru Dakshina when they completed their education. So once the education is completed, they used to give the Guru Dakshina as per their will. Children belonging to rich and poor had to stay together. Now here there was no discrimination between rich and poor. So all rich and poor people, the children, small children, used to come together and stay together. To run the Gurukula, pupils had to perform various duties. Now specifically, the fees was not taken from the students, from the children. So to run the Gurukul, they need the money, they need the system. So what they had performed, they have performed various duties like gathering fuel, bagged alms, that is called as the bhikshas, from the neighboring villages, working in the fields attached to the Gurukula. So they used to go, they used to take the bhikshas, they used to beg for the fuel, they used to gather the fuel, and accordingly they used to work for the Gurukul. Now in the next slide, we are going to see about the religion during the Vedic period. The religious life of the Aryans was simple and plain. It was not very much this, it was very much simple and plain. They worshipped various manifestations of nature such as the sun, the moon, the sky, the dawn, the thunder, the wind and the air. Vedic hymns were composed in praise of nature. Rig Veda mentions that the 33 gods and goddesses were worshipped by the Aryans. So Aryans, they say that they worship 33 gods and goddesses. So altogether the total number of gods they worship were 33 gods and goddesses. These divinities were placed under three categories. Now these gods were divided into three different categories. First one, terrestrial gods such as Prithvi, Agni, Brihapati, that is prayer, and Soma. Second one is the atmospheric gods such as Indra, Rudra, probably lightning, Maruts, Vayu, wind and Paranjanya. Third one, celestial gods such as Dayus, the sky, Varuna, the vault of heaven, Ushas, which is called as the dawn, Ashwins, probably twilight and morning stars, and Surya, Mitra, Savitri and Vishnu. all associated with the most glorious phenomenon of nature, which is the sun. So if you see the name itself, the terrestrial, it is telling us about the Prithvi, Agni. Then your atmosphere, it is telling us about the atmosphere, and celestial gods, it is telling us about the nature. Next is about the sacrifices and rituals. The mode of worship was simple. The Vedic worship meant primarily only oblation and prayer. A great value was attached to the hymns. The Aryans chanted hymns to appease, to please the various divinities. So whenever they used to worship, they used to say the hymns, the devotional songs to please the gods. Yajna, or it is called as a yajna or sacrifice, was another mode to please the gods and goddesses. So they used to sacrifice to please the gods. They offered, what were the sacrifice they were doing? They were offering milk, ghee, grains, wine, fruits, etc. as an offering into the fire. So milk, ghee, grains, wine, fruits, they were offering it. Third part, animals. Some animals were also sacrificed, like horses, buffaloes, rams, bulls, and even cows were also sometimes sacrificed. So this is about the sacrifices and rituals which they followed. Next is about the new doctrines. The Brahmins were responsible for bringing about many innovations and involving new doctrines. If you see, the Brahmins were at the topmost society level, so they started bringing more innovations and started evolving the new doctrines. The new doctrines included the doctrines of karma, that is called as action, dharma, which is called as a duty, moksha, that is a salvation. The belief in rebirth gained roots. They said that the rebirth is there. That once the person is died, again he is going to give a birth. That is a rebirth. The Brahmins were said to have divine powers. No rituals or religious celebration would commence without the presence of the Brahmins. So anything, any function, any religious function is there, any sacrifices, any rituals are there, that time compulsory in presence of Brahmins only they will perform. In the absence of Brahmins, it was not allowed to perform. Now we are going to see about the trade and industry in the Vedic period. Early Vedic period, they traded clothes and leather goods. Barter system was practiced. Here, the money was not there, the coin was not there, the unit of value was not there. The barter system is what? Exchanging of goods. For example, if I want to purchase something, if I am having a rice field and if I want to purchase a wheat, so I will go to a farmer who is having a wheat, I will give my rice to him and he will give his wheat to me. That was a barter system, exchanging of goods. Next is cow was a standard unit of value. They used horses and bullocks to carry goods. They also transported goods through inland rivers. So through the rivers also they transported the goods from one place to another. Also they used the horses and bullocks. Next, in later Vedic period, many changes were seen in the trade and commerce. In the early Vedic period, this was the trade and system. Later on, some changes were found in the later Vedic period. That was Nishka and Satmana coins. So coins existed, were used as a unit of value. So in later Vedic period, barter system was not followed, but here exchange of coins was followed. Ships were used and inland maritime trade flourished. Guilds were formed which control prices and ensures the quality of goods. So here we had horses and bullocks in earlier Vedic period, but in later Vedic period we used ships for use and inland maritime. So ships were used for the trade. Now next slide we are going to see about the agriculture. Early Vedic period. They stayed in villages, they prayed for good rain, good harvest, good health and large herds of cattle. So they were praying to God. Third, agriculture was a primary occupation in the early Vedic period. Barley, yava was the only grain known. So, too many grains were not there, only barley and yava were only grain known over there. Now domestication of animals. Domestication of animals was secondary occupation. First was the agriculture, second was the domestication of animals. Cattle form important dhana, gift made to priest. So whenever they wanted to give something to a priest or to the Brahmins, they used to give the cattle as a gift. Gomat was a term used for wealthy person who owned many cattle. A person who was having too many cattle, he was called as a gomat. Gomat means a rich man, a wealthy man. Other animals domesticated included dog, sheep, ox, goat and horse. Now later Vedic period, in addition to barley, java, new crop vrihi rice was popular. So here later on vrihi and rice also was added. Other crops like wheat, millet, bajra and sugarcane were also produced by them during later Vedic period. So here additional crops came into existence. Next, domestication of animals was also seen in the later Vedic period. As domestication of animals was in early Vedic period, same it was there in the later Vedic period. Now about the crafts. Early Vedic age and later Vedic age crafts, they were engaged in weaving clothes. Metal workers made weapons, implements and ornaments. Ayas, named as a metal, mentioned in Rig Veda was copper or bronze. So here weaving clothes, making weapons, ornaments and implements, and also about the metal mentioned in the Rig Veda was a copper here. In later Vedic age, iron was used in large quantity during the later Vedic period. So here iron was used in a very large quantity in the later Vedic period as it was a very hard metal to be used. Crafts such as leather working, making of jewelry and chariot making developed during this period. So here the crafts were used, that was a leather working, making of jewelry and also the chariot making. Next, we are going to see the comparison between the economy of early Vedic period and a later Vedic period. Early Vedic economy, domestication of animals was primary occupation and agriculture was the secondary, and in the later it was agriculture the primary and the domestication of animals as a secondary occupation. Second point, cattle was important source of wealth. As domestication of animal is a primary source of occupation, so cattle was the important source of wealth. While here agriculture was a primary primary occupation, so here land was important source of wealth. So here cattle is important and then land is important. Many were engaged in trade and commerce. Traders guilds had formed and with use of coins and better transport facility led to growth in trade and transport. Here they were engaged themselves in the trade and commerce, but here as they had a traders, so they started trading themselves and using the coins and better transport facility, even that growth in the trade and commerce also increased, economically they increased. Occupations included weaving, carpentry, pottery, crafts in gold and silver. And here it is, besides other occupations, some new occupations included physicians, musicians, etc. So here the main occupation was only making carpentry, pottery or crafts with the gold and silver. But here additional like physicians and musicians was the additional occupation they invented. Now with this, we have finished our chapter. I will just brush up all the points once again. In today's part, we have learnt about the position of women. How women were treated in the early Vedic period and later Vedic period. The second point we have discussed about the society. In society, we had 4 classes. So topmost, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, then accordingly 4 parts we have learnt about the 4 parts of the society, and Shudras were at the very much low level, and Shudras were not supposed to take part in the later Vedic period. They were not supposed to take part in the earlier Vedic period. In the earlier Vedic period, Shudras were not banned or where they can cook their food and they can share their food to others or they can take part. But in the later Vedic period, Shudras were treated very much badly and very much in a very bad way. They are called as untouchables. They were not allowed to touch anywhere. They were not allowed to stay in the village. They were supposed to go outside the village. The next point we have learnt about the 4 ashrams, that is the 4 stages of life, how people lived as per the ages, as per the age limit. They have divided the 4 ashramas as per the ages. Then we have learnt about the Gurukul system, how was the education system. Then we have learnt about the Bhatta system, we have learnt about the religion. Then we have seen about the sacrifices. We have seen about the economy. All these parts we have covered, and with this we have finished our chapter of Vedic period, where we have a difference between the later Vedic period and the early Vedic period. So for now, as a home assignment, go through the chapter, read the chapter very much carefully and try to understand and try to distinguish between the early Vedic period, later Vedic period. Try to find out note down the points which will make you easy to learn and understand it. Thank you very much.